Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Peachy.
Chill,
peachy. That works. We got
Excited tonight.
Oh, that's always a good thing. Is everyone actually present?
I believe so.
I don't know. I could be present if that's what my mind desired.
I see. Well, as always, I'm very appreciative that we are here. As always, I have looked forward to this opportunity for play. And as always, you have my infinite thanks and an incalculable amount of my respect and adoration of you all being here, sharing this moment with us, and again, with me being specifically selfish with me. Does anyone remember where we last left our coterie?
I was about to drink from the goblet of fire.
Yeah, John's about to do something dumb. And
very strategic.
We'll see about that.
Well, I know where we left Gigi, but I don't know whether that changed since we last spoke.
Oh no, they've been busy while Gigi is making herself friendly with Warrington. While she ingratiates herself to Walkerton's resident rose of a sort.
Oh crap, it's hedonist.
She's doing her full Southern belle. I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
That has its values, yes. Alright, so without much further ado, and because we are a few pressing heartbeats past our official hard start, once more into the breach we will dive. When we last left our coterie, Gigi was in the hands, the careful, considerably talented, and focused hands of the leader of the local Linearchs. While the coterie, having divested themselves of the security and safety of the local hotel, run by the resident member of the tower, all save Nikki, who is sitting on the bed, hands folded into themselves, listening to the night spew forth all manner of horrors, all manner of dark tendrils crawling through her mind as to what could be happening out there in the world. The other members of the coterie, outside of the church, in which lies John, preparing to partake of the sacrament of these peoples, these fine, upstanding people. And without much further ado, this is officially Season 4, Steel Hearts, Rusted Souls. Episode 5, Cold, Dark, Utterable, Evil. So because we have our coterie, the actors of our hearts and the flames of our imagination spread so disparately across the city of Walkerton, though that is an extreme stretch of the word city, and all manner of its definitions, we will start alphabetically. Are you ready?
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. Alone in the dark is never a place where most people fancy themselves. It is far beyond common knowledge that there is strength in numbers. It is far beyond common knowledge that the dark, in and of itself, by simply existing, holds a very real threat that is existential for all manner of living things. Gigi is not living, not by any stretch of the imagination, and as such, would normally seem, based on that logic, proof against the dark. Unfortunately, as every kindred knows, while they are predators, and while they are monsters, they are not, in fact, sheer, unadulterated, apex, singularly crowned champions of the world. While they believe themselves so, and they tell themselves as often as possible that they are the apex predator, the truth of the matter is that even amongst themselves, there's a strata and wide range of what that actually means. They are occasionally captains of industry, or masters of city blocks, or media barons and tycoons that could sway the force of public opinion. However, truth being absolute, they are not the apex predator. In fact, if their numbers are made known to the public in any real manner, they would be prey, as various kindred around the world have found out. While the humans are viewed as the kind, cattle, livestock, and prey, the truth of the matter is that old aphorism, that old adage of strength in numbers is 100% absolutely true. And they would be prey. So sitting here in the dark, alone, unknown miles, moments, hours, minutes from her coterie, in the care of an unknown kindred who has reached out, or claims to have reached out for assistance, claim to have sent out the call, the clarion call for assistance with what lies here, which drew the mad bomber Caldwell in this direction. So now that your friend has gone about what they've gone about and taken a little bit of meal on the hoof home to your coterie, you all don't seem to exactly be the most honest sort. Are you all really actually rabble?
Well, I can only speak for myself. But the thing is, the only reason there was a bit of a scuffle or disagreement as to who would take over Gary is because of the way it was done. Money is green, and I like money. And I like green. I don't care where it comes from. That's how I run things. And our power, whatever. That's just me. Nikki, on the other hand, doesn't quite seem like the type that would fit in with the tower to me. Drawn is a little bit helter-skelter. Can't tell which way is up half the time, and likes to hang out with people that the tower would rather kill, so I highly doubt that they are tower. Marcus, hard to peg which way he goes, most of the time. Leonetti, He's a killer for hire again, so money is important. And his main source of money is very much anarchy.
You know, I'm still trying to find a way to make heads or tails of what that all really actually means. Because from the outside, and this is just from the outside, only having met you and your lovely associate Nikki, y'all seem very much members of Tower. People that be as proud to be counted amongst their members. And the reason why I asked you specifically, I was hoping that by sharing a certain calm, bond, loyalty, and honesty, that we might be able to get to the bottom of these things in the most social way, instead of other less pleasurable activities. Conversations always, if held honestly, always the best route, if you know what I mean. Nikki being all slim and svelte, blonde head, blue eyes, seems very much in the Aryan spirit of the Tower. And you, with all your honeyed words, seems like a right fine cup of sun tea specifically made for the Tower. And with the disappearances of our brethren, mad though he might be, he is still our brethren. You see how that puts me in a bit of a bind, especially with everything that's going on here and everything that's going on not far and everything that's on the horizon. Because you know that we have a honest to goodness, upstanding member of the pyramid, the Chantry, right here. So, with you talking round and round the mulberry bush there, it ain't really a declaration one way or the other. So it is yes, or is yay. Either way, I'm sure that we can find some way to ensure each of us come out of this situation ahead. Perhaps a few extra greens flowing through our pockets. But I need to know who I am dealing with. Especially being as I have offered and you have accepted some small token of actual hospitality.
Like I said, you spoke my language with mentioning green in my pocket. So, what you got?
Would you be so kind as to roll your wits and either etiquette, insight, or politics, as twice asked and twice avoided does raise certain issues of care and concern. It's the sort of situation where those who dance on the wrong side of the law or who are engaging in some backroom deal realizes that someone in their midst very well may be part of the right and upstanding members of the law enforcement community. There's no beads of sweat, no billowing clouds of smoke, no music diegetically starting up, but there is a rising amount of tension. As Robin has doubts creeping in like a nest of spiders cracking open inside his skull. He leans back in his chair, finally settling and putting his back firmly against the furthest most part of the comfortable, well-lived leather chair. It's the sort of thing that had been a piece of art deco back in the early 1940s when the initial steps of brutalism came into play, where all of the gaudy, gilded deco pieces began to be déclassé, or the works of lesser minds. And simplicity once again began to reign dominant. It's the sort of chair that has seen history via the backsides of those who have sat within it. Still well maintained, lovingly polished and oiled, cleaned, and cared after, year after year after year. And now it holds him. And while it is no throne, it might as well be, because as he settles, resting his arm leaning into his left hand and earnestly considering all the many paths that he had plotted out and all that lay ahead, he's forced to come to grips with that most southern of understanding. When a person tells you who they are, you ain't got no right to doubt them. And the truism of its opposite. Well, I suppose at the end of the day that we all have to look after ourselves. In regards to us making some money together, I've got a little small thing that I'd like you to do. And he begins rifling through the drawers on his side of the desk. He produces a well-crumpled, clearly reused envelope. It's about 7 inches by 3 inches. It's been sealed and resealed. There's an honest to goodness bit of wax holding it closed. There's several Sharpie permanent marker covered erasures and X's on one side of it. He hefts it, weighs it, daring to meet your eyes for a second, then looking back at it, and then he sits it on his desk in front of him. By the way that it plumps against the desk, you can tell that it weighs just under a pound or so. It's nothing hard, metallic inside of it. In fact, you'd guess that that's roughly about a pound of some soft material, papers, letters, something along that sort. Hence why the wax was used to reinforce the closing of it. Eyes and ears, as it were. I understand you may not have the most reliable of local vehicular locomotion, but there's a church that I'd like you to take this to. When you get there, and after speaking with the local deacon, friar, or whatever they call themselves, I don't really get much inside churches these days. inform them that this is another donation. If you are successful and I receive the phone call, we can continue in the best sorts of spirits. You think that this is a fair enough initial offer of employment while you are here? Something that you can accomplish relatively quickly and assert your proof of trust, as it were. My trust in you, your trust in me, our trust as upstanding members of the unaligned rabble of the world.
Gigi being a study of people, kinda can tell that she's not nice with him. Just kind of like body language wise. And smirks. Because that's just her natural response to that sort of danger, I guess. And then gives him the most sweet, butter wouldn't melt in your mouth smile. I'm saying, I surely can.
That is music to my ears. If there's one thing that I love more than the sound of my own voice, is things being accomplished in a nice, neat, tidy manner. I know you and your friends have a lot to do because we have, despite our size, we are a hub of activity. As far out here in the middle of nowhere as we might be, there's a load of folks that just pass through, saunter into town, and seek to make themselves at home. Many of them are sent on their way and driven to parts due elsewhere. But I think that in your small stay here, as you all help us find Caldwell, that we all will find exactly what we need to in this situation and be the better for it. So I wish you luck. I look forward to my phone call, and it is a pleasure having met you. And he rises, double checking that all the drawers are in fact closed, and moves from around the desk once more toward the door to his little office. The night don't wait for nobody, so you best hurry on and get these things accomplished.
She smooth as silk, like reaches for the envelope and slides it towards herself and then tucks it into the inner breast pocket of her suit jacket. And walking past him out the door, I would say the pleasure's been mine, but he didn't get to that, now did we? Flips her hair and saunters out into the bar proper and towards the door.
And speaking of moving toward the door, escaping a situation or entering a situation, moving things along, because at the end of the day, you all have a lot of things that you are hoping to accomplish and a lot more that you're hoping to not have to accomplish here. That being the finding of Caldwell, that being the routing of the Baron of Gary, that being finding a way to clear the slate and still come out ahead and make sure that she pays for all the trouble that you all have experienced as unaligned Neartarchus of Gary. Leonetti watches from the doorway the fact that John is preparing to ingest, well, Can't be that bad after all. Kindred can't eat, right? Kindred don't need food or sustenance. And despite the annoying claw of his beast telling him that therein is blood, therein in this peaceful moment in this church in the middle of nowhere, the scent of blood, the scent of life demands redress. The question is, what does Leonetti do about it?
Well, he takes a breath in and thinks, not yet. Soon. Very soon.
So he allows John to continue on his path, continue drinking whatever that is in that chalice.
That is John's choice. If he desires it so much, he drink. He might as well just drink it.
Okay. Marcus, without a doubt, that same question applies to you as well. The chalice is up. The scent of blood is in the air. The peace from all the hymning and singing and humming that this church is eliciting, and everything that you've all witnessed this evening, having taken a small tour around the city, the disappearance of Gigi and Nikki and all of those things, does he allow John to continue? Does he allow whatever's in that chalice to break the seal of John's lips?
Well, he's not going to run through the middle of his turn and get his ass kicked for He is going to I'm looking forward. John was already up there with the chalice in his hand. I'm gonna just. What the hell are you drinking, you crazy bastard? I'm just trying to distract him from what he's doing so he can make a more informed decision.
Okay. That being the case, as simply distraction, and would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus persuasion -2.
Which one?
Oh, sorry. Hang on a second. Did I say persuasion? I did say persuasion. Yes, persuasion.
Okay, well, I'm not I built a nerd, goddammit.
Well, actually, you built a nerd cative, goddammit. So, you gotta add that in there, too.
My other cative would be good for this. This cative, not. I had to open up. Hold on. You said wits, right?
Yes, sir. All right, that sets the DC. absolutely impossible realm of reaching through the miasma of John finally being at peace, with all of the myriad kaleidoscopic possibilities of the infinite unknowable not distracting him from the moment in front of him, not throwing up a distraction for getting from point A to point B without having to go through all of the other alphabets, for this moment of calm, this moment of purpose where all of the stars are aligned. You find the tenor and timbre necessary to at least rattle the bars of his self-imposed cage. John, the chalice is there. The blood is there. Solely based on the fact that this is the best option for him that he can see, that silences all of the jangling, disconnected otherness of his life. Wouldn't John want that peace or want his life? The two cannot exist at the same point, at the same place, at the same time. Which of the two would he most indelibly need? The way that his life was, or all the peace that is being offered in this chalice?
I mean, all the peace that's in that chalice is fake, so he'd want his own life.
All right, sounds like a plan. That being the case, you would need to roll your resolve -2 plus.
Okay, I was about to say plus, right? there's a plus there.
Yes, there is a plus. Plus your subterfuge.
You were getting a little shaky over there, weren't you? Just until you heard that.
That isn't. That's 0. I don't have the capacity to lie, and I only have 2 resolve.
All right, well, that being the case, go ahead and roll that chance die. And yep, you definitely need a success. A success will pause you where you are. You will not stop drinking and not pull it from your lips, but you will at least pause, because somehow, through it all, Marcus summoned the right voice, the right presence, and it reminds you that there are others in the world that care about you. All right. Tally ho, the hunt goes on as the liquid hits your lips and all things add up. You know the celestial calculus for everything that has led up to this moment. It can be simplified as a simple us, them. A statement and follow through of one's ideals and their beliefs. Taking a stance, because if you don't stand up, everything and everyone will continue steamrolling everything there has ever been about your life and your existence. The clarity of action and the unity of thought is supreme. And in this world, even in this dark mirror of all the wrongs of this world, wholeheartedly making that decision and living it is all that it takes to maintain this peace. Or at least that's what the voice that begins rising at the back of your head says. At least that's the voice that's drowning out your beast begins to say. At least that's what the essence of the other and the corn says. You know that this entirety of existence is in service to the other that exists in the corn. You know that out there is a presence that can offer you a peace, a sanctity and security that you've only dreamt of. All that it takes is giving yourself to it. fully embracing that peace, fully embracing this moment, bringing more worshipers and strengthening the other. And you only see it and feel it as the other because you don't believe in the Abrahamic ideal of God. You don't believe in that there was one singular entity that helped create what is. No, it was a chorus, a choir of beings from beyond this world, much like you are able to create stick figures on sheets of paper and have them live in whatever existence you decide to draw or create for them, whether they have 3 arms, 1 leg, or whether they have 18 of each appendage, or any number of eyes you give them. You create their 2-dimensional existence, and much the same way as you do to those 2-dimensional beings, those 4th-dimensional beings do the same with us. Please remove your hunger to 1. And 1 temporary willpower. And there is no doubt in your mind that the reason why Caldwell came this way and why you needed to come this way is for that truth. To bring your coterie to as close to heaven as they will ever be. Here's where you all need to stay. Here's where you all need to continue existing. And here is where the road ends for everyone. Speaking of the road ending, and reality is popping up out of nowhere. Sitting there in bed with the woman who was formerly possessed, the woman who was your meal, the meal that was sent along with you to ensure that John found a semblance of calm. Nikki, out there in the dark, out there in the night, our kindred who have been willing to risk incessantly for your wants, for your needs, and in consideration of you. And like so many times before, a truth of resistance weighs on your mind. If you don't stand up for others, when it is time for someone to stand up for you, there won't be anyone there.
It's true.
So with those thoughts plaguing you, Nikki, what is it that you would attempt to consider?
As what? Other than doing what she needs to help her coterie.
And what does she think she needs to do to help her coterie in this situation? Knowing that Gigi is still with Robert, knowing that Leonetti, Marcus, and John have left into the night. How can Nikki, with all those decades of experience in finding that middle path to maintain themselves, assist them, help them, reach them?
Is this the same night? This isn't the same night that Gigi and Nick went out, is it?
It is.
No, never mind then. As of now, she Only thing, I mean, she's figuring out what she can do because as of now, she feels that she's done all that she could do for now. But I mean, the things that really on her mind right now is just all the strange going on with the town, especially what just happened with the girl and the corn. So she goes to the window one more time just to let things just percolate in her head.
There's a natural worry about pests, about rodents, small scurrying things in the dark. Mainly because they bring with them the insects that they live amongst. And those insects brings pestilence and plagues and all manner of ills that make humankind weaker, make humankind smaller. And that effect will trickle down to the kindred. The less humans there are to feed on, the more obvious the opportunities for feeding are for discovery. The less humans live in a particular area, the more circumspect that the kindred has to be, and the more dangerous their own beast becomes towards their own longevity. Standing there in the window, looking out past the shutters, looking out at all of that corn, looking out there and all of that darkness, there are roughly 1 million dark reflecting eyes crawling amongst the corn, moving towards the hotel, crawling up the wall of the hotel as wave upon wave of dark furry bodies move towards the hotel, up and over it, all without blocking the window, all without seeking paths of egress inside. All those dark little humped bodies moving, fleeing something.
There is something wrong with that fucking plan. She can see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's going to find her own, or try to. She's going to make sure that the girl is okay, and she's going to just leave a note to tell the girl just to relax and chill. She'll be back. She just went to check on something. And she's going to go try to find the owner of the hotel.
Having followed behind Gigi and Nazira hours ago now, it seems like days, weeks, months, years ago, when you were just simply checking up on one of your coterie members and making sure they weren't alone in a place where something horrible could happen to them. That seems as if it's happened several lifetimes ago. All the same, finding your way through the back employee access of the hotel and through the small doors and dim, flickering lit hallways towards the manager's office, which is a suite unto itself, has your undead skin crawling. And as someone who plays with flesh as one would with Play-Doh, you know that feeling all too well. The hackles at the base of your hair standing on end, the hair on your forearm responding to some internal breeze that has the flesh itself risen with goose flesh. You find the office where Nazira and Gigi were speaking, where you listened from the open door. And once again, the door is partially cracked open, and Nazira is sitting. She's going over some books, flicking a page, and peering fixed at the pages as if the very secrets of the universe could be found therein. She doesn't look up, but she does call out. Yes, what is it?
Maybe a knock before she enters. It is me again. I was wondering if you had a moment to speak.
I suppose so. Yes. How can I help? And she forces herself from looking at the pages of the book and realizes that you're closer than you should be. She closes the book. It is a leather-bound thing of immense weight. It easily weighs 45 pounds. It's about 7.5 inches from cover to cover, and the pages are large enough where you could probably inscribe a full family history for several generations on one page, and there are hundreds of them. Their crinkly edges clearly having survived decades, maybe centuries.
I see that you are terribly busy, and I apologize for the intrusion, but recent events has raised questions that I feel need answering, and I was wondering if you would be able to provide those answers.
Normally, I am, in fact, I really am, in fact, quite busy. However, in light of your status as members of the tower, how can I help?
Are you aware, or do you have any knowledge of the corn in this town?
If you're asking specifically about the entity here, yes, there is something out there. Something that is not afraid of us. Have you ever heard of a creature called a shadow sleeper?
Could I roll to see if I did?
What's your occult?
Never mind, it's one.
No, I can tell it doesn't strike a chord with you, but it's. I suspect a creature, something much like a shadow sleeper, if not an actual shadow sleeper, resides under Walkerton. And I'm a little worried that it seems more active. I don't know if the anarch you all were hunting down, Caldwell, has anything to do with it. But I know that if you don't interact with it will not be able to affect you. Not directly. It's the best way to describe it is that it will pick at your weaknesses. It will draw your attention, but until you take it into you, there's nothing it can do. There's absolutely nothing that, no matter how strong this particular entity is, it can't actively, honestly harm you, affect you. It can't even honestly force you to take it in. You have to do so willingly. It's one of the reasons that I was surprised with how many churches there are in our small little quaint town. It's one of the many reasons why I came to Walkerton was to study the oddities that happen here. Let me read you something. And she opens the book. It's from some documents that came into the pyramid's hands some time ago. When love and hate turn strange, and magpies filch the hours, and Judas lambs betray, know you are a figment, a shadow sleeper's dream. Now, I've done some preliminary correlations between some of what this is, and I know that it refers. Magpies are crows, and crows, a group of crows are called a murder. The Judas tree, the tree where Judas hung himself, and while there's no actual Judas tree in Walkerton, there are several notable trees at the center of the corn of various places around the city. So putting it together in that sort, with that sort of eye, perhaps a murder, a betrayal of some sort. But otherwise, again, as long as you don't take it into you, you don't open a pathway for it, there's nothing that it can actually do.
So leave the corn alone. Noted. Also, would this creature have anything to do with the death in this town?
What do you mean?
Well, I heard from the local librarian that people tend to die here. Even once they get here, they die. There was even a story of a man who fell out of an airplane here and landed here.
Yes, it's typical Midwestern Americana. The idea of such strange things are quite normalized in small town. The smaller the town, the more strange stories you're going to hear. And parsing the truth from local gossip and rumors, one of the reasons that I have been so busy. There are quite a lot of interesting facets to Walkerton. Do you know that outside of Chicago suburbia, that no other municipality throughout the Midwest has as many churches as Walkerton?
I was not aware of that.
It's almost as if the initial population of the area were seeking for ways to put or keep the shadow sleeper out of their lives. But the shadow sleeper in this particular case, in this particular area, because of its connection to the corn, I am prone to believe that it may have been worshipped initially by the local natives and First Peoples as something of a harvest spirit or some god of the fall or some star of the morning situation, if that makes sense.
Given to what we are, it does make sense.
And that's part of the problem. You'd think that with all of that, there'd be something more definitive to find, some clue that could unravel the whole of it. But it seems to escape me.
Well, have you actually tried to go into the cornfield to see those trees?
No, are you? That would be absolutely ludicrous. That's the reason why I'm trying to make sure that I have enough retainers to sacrifice, so that they might visit it during the day, collecting videographic information and clues and information that I can peruse at my leisure. Just because he can't do anything actively to you, unless, of course, you take it in, does not mean that others have not drunken it in. Have you heard of the Jamestown Massacre and how that predominated the social zeitgeist about drinking the Kool-Aid?
Who hasn't? Yes, I have heard of that incident.
Well, there's some psychological doctrine therein that he utilized against his own followers. And I don't like losing, and I have lost quite enough for more than several lifetimes. And I am not going to go into the dark with something that was born there, something that was created there, something that only grows stronger there. I'd be foolish.
But so your soulmate slumbers in the daytime, or is not as potent?
All things are stronger at night. It's the reason why shock and awe is a battle tactic that works, and why most armed forces consider the early morning hours as the magic hours. There's always more than a small amount of truth to human beliefs. And one of those beliefs is that the end of things, the beginning of things, the joining of things are when things are at their strongest. The energy from a human death, the magic that unleashes, all for the weight of a few nickels, it makes Hiroshima and Nagasaki look like a firecracker. And if this shadow sleeper here is some ancient worshipped First Peoples harvest spirit gone rogue, or some other entity from beyond, then in the wee hours, in the dark, where it exists outside of our understanding and outside of the human's world, it would be at its strongest. And I, for one, would not like to stand against it at its strongest, if you understand my meaning.
But of course, and also I know from experience that the reason why they attack at those times is because that's when they feel that the enemy is least aware.
There is some logic to that. But I still have more research to do. I wish you a lovely evening.
Thank you so much for your time, and if you find out anything else about this creature, would you be so kind as to inform me?
Even as a member of the tower, there's only so many things that I can freely share with you.
I understand. I am a light student of the occult myself. I feel as I need to broaden my knowledge. But again, thank you so much for your time, and I will get you back. I will let you go back to your important work. She'll leave. And she'll send out a max text to anybody who has a phone. Stay away from the corner. I will tell you more later.
All right, so while you send that out in character messaging,
here we go.
Leaving The Last Chance, it is hard to not see that name as very appropriate. There's some ominous weight sitting out there in the dark over your head as you leave, Chi-Chi. The name, The Last Chance, has a certain connotation that is hard to not see past, to see as true and accurate. The envelope in hand. the night in front of you, the directions to a church scrawled upon the pages of your memory. What is it that you do? Do you actually head to the church with the envelope in hand, or do you do something else?
Well, seeing as how it's kind of like sealed with wax, I can't open it and seal it back just to see what's in it because I'm curious. But it's kind of best just to get this over with because she doesn't want no problems with the locals. So she is going to get in the bug and take the car and drive herself towards the church.
There are certain truths that everyone knows to be so. You don't get into a land war in Asia. You don't bet against the Sicilian when matters of death are on the table. And you don't drive through Walkerton at night. It takes literally the rest of Gigi's life as an immortal being getting from point A to point B. She has gone down the same street, the same stretch of road, by her count, 10 times. The scenery doesn't change. There's still that same group of cornfields to her left and to her right, getting closer to the road as she turns around and gets the fuck out of Dodge, only to have it happen again. And the name of the streets shift and move as if they have a mind of their own and they are working counter to her direction. But due perseverance, through the sheer, I am not going to fail, I am not going to fall privy to any foolery, Gigi arrives at the church. Outside the church is a Marcus, what color is the Camaro?
I think it was Bumblebee. It was yellow.
It was. I was trying to get his attention and see, pull you all into this moment together. Because as you arrive, as you reach...
Yeah, it is to the addition with the symbol on the hood and wheel hubs.
As you get to the church, as you reach the destination, as you have finally surmounted the ever-shifting, ever-changing, ever-creeping, crawling dread that is the Walkerton streets, at the location, you find a very familiar vehicle idling by the curb. And as you exit the bug and make your way toward the door, in the doorway is Leonetti and Marcus. Coming from the church is the most negatively divine hymn being hummed, sung, played, and vibrating through the world at large. How tall is Gigi? Gigi?
5'7".
5'7".
Sorry, I had to look because I couldn't remember.
So she's very nearly model tall. She is a tall drinker of water as far as the national average is concerned. But how tall are Leonetti and Marcus? Because she is behind them and they are in the path of her vision. They are between her and all of that melodic hymning.
Marcus is range
And Leonetti?
Around six.
You know, it's easily enough solved for Gigi because knowing them from behind well enough, she would grab one of the two just randomly just pinch the shit out of them until they move.
Before.
I didn't hear that. What happened?
What did you pitch me for?
Because I can't see your big tall asses in my way. I got something to do. Move.
And I move up. Leonetti is like, that is the most disturbing fucking sermon I have ever been to. I hate these religious zealous types.
Have y'all seen the corn? Because good lord, that shit's scary. I'll explain in a minute though. I just got to drop this off for our host.
And speaking of dropping off for your host and bringing and completing the deal, the fact that John is standing at the front of the church, surrounded by congregants, and the father, the priest, the pastor from Salem's Lot, his mouth covered in blood, because there is no wine that will ever stain the flesh that deeply or that instantaneously. There's no wine that smells like the very stuff of life. There's no wine that has Gigi's beast rising to the fore, and the blissed out starry night sky dancing inside John's vision. Well, that speaks to certain other things.
He kind of very carefully leans back near the two of them. They drug him. What the fuck is going on?
He wanted to go to this church, and they handed him a cup, and just
And y'all just let him drink it?
yeah, all 104 tackle. Weird blood.
John, you can hear them.
I'm on like a giant pedestal surrounded by people worshiping things, correct?
You're at the front of a church. You're at the front of a storefront style church. So there's not really a raised day for you to walk upon. There's no stage that you're at the front of. You're literally at the front of a row of pews. There's a lectern off to your left. There, right behind you, there's a small little station where the sacrament is kept that you are now holding. The chalice of blood, you know, is the sweetest thing that they will ever taste. You know that if they drink the chalice, if they have and drink of the chalice, the peace that you are now feeling, the actual calm, and the fact that you know that there is a place where you are welcomed as you are. None of your flaws, faults, or past misdeeds matter.
Is there still blood left in this chalice thingy?
Yes.
I'll bring it to the rest of the coterie. Be like, you guys should try this stuff.
And as you're moving towards your crew, and your group, your friends and your family, and those who've gone on this mad road trip with you at your behest, the other congregants follow behind you. They close in behind you, their hymns slowing to a stop. And you feel their hands on your shoulder and clapping on your back, and the welcome, the camaraderie of being one of them. Like, they are welcoming you with all they have. And if you are saying that these brothers and sisters are worthy, we welcome them too. Welcome, sisters, brothers. Come home. Join us in our concordance of faith.
I am just here to drop off a donation.
Leonidas says, if you put that thing in my face anymore, I will slap it on. I will slap that vile option on
Vile?
where it deserves.
Vile, how could you say such a thing? Every scripture on the matter is clear. The blood is life.
Fuck your scripture.
I look at Leonetti like, cut it the fuck out. Like looking at him like, shut up. Making the hand across the neck thing like.
Marcus is putting Lee and everyone else. He doesn't even talk. He just fades back, and he's getting ready to do some magic-y shit.
Brother, there's no need to take up arms against your fellowship. Come be one of us. Join us. We accept you for all of the monstrous things that you have done. We will help you find peace within yourself. Your wrongs don't have to be your future.
I'm fine with the future that is set out for me right now.
Really, your future.
Your scriptures help you, not me.
But our fellowship could help you. Our fellowships could heal that longing in you, that missing piece of you. Your child out there in the wild, prey to all of the monsters in the dark. We could help you bring them into the warmth of our bosom. We can help you avert all those many deaths ahead of you. We can help you.
Excuse me? What did you say? What? My daughter.
Your daughter?
There are two things that could happen. And depending on the answer to your next one, it might not go well for any.
Do you miss your child, your daughter?
Do you know?
Do
where
you
my child
answer the question? We are here to help. Do you miss them?
Of course.
Do you want them
Good
safe?
father would not.
No, you would be surprised. Many are the evils in the world that refuse to accept that they are in fact evil. Drink. Join us. Allow us to help you. Let us help you find the peace that you deserve. Let us find a way to help you join with your child once more. Let us help you not create more death. This is your opportunity. This is your chance. This is your moment to rise above what you have been.
Just a question. What's in that blood, anyways?
Life, as is in all blood. Life, warmth, welcome.
You drank it.
That doesn't seem like normal blood.
Of course not. Of course it doesn't seem like normal blood. When you take it, when you steal it, when you divest another against their will, but this, like all sacraments, is freely given. Like all sacraments, this is an atoning for all the sins that counted against you, that weigh you down, that hold your future hostage, that cause nothing but harm in your immortality. Drink. Join us.
Okay, Leonetti is in a complex set of emotions right now. He is furious because he is hopeful, furious that these people is very suspicious because they apparently know what his goal in life is to doesn't really tell anyone, and only a few individuals know. But he's also he's also really not believing the free and all that stuff. He tried religion once. He didn't find the meaning behind it. And this free, it's a foreign language to him. What they're saying is essentially trying to tell him, look, this square goes through this goes into this triangle. It just doesn't click. He's like, where's this blood coming from? You say it's for freely to give, but it needs to be taken from something.
No. And then...
No, that's what he's thinking, at least.
Come. Be welcome. Be part of our fellowship. There's no longer any need. And then they look at you, Gigi. There's no need to have a want for anything. There's no need to not have the success that you were denied. There's no need to keep fighting with yourself and the world at large, trying to find the middle ground. We are all here for a reason. Whether there's one that we instinctually understood, or it is one that happened to us. Brother, there's no need to flee. We don't want any harm to befall you. And it is clear that you all have lost enough. We offer you an opportunity to lay down your burdens, to escape the mysteries that have bombarded your existence, to end your predations against the world. Drink. Fill your glass with acceptance. You don't have to choose one side or another. You don't have to make enemies by lack of choice. You don't have to fight. Drink.
She mutters below her breath, "Oh, that to the Baron."
Marcus is a coward.
But
The letters in the cup is radioactive. Like, it would take the Army Corps of Engineers and a really big backhoe to get him anywhere near that. His is just exploding with hell no.
she is going to again try to get the attention of the leader and hand over the envelope. That was her job, and that is what she is here to do. Giving them all a smile, like, yeah, okay, I believe it. I'll drink the Kool-Aid in a minute, but just here, take this money.
Marcus has now managed to maneuver in such a way that he in it. Because his mindset is, I don't have to outrun the bear, I have to outrun you. Because
When Leonardo sees that he's like that, Marcus is like, yeah, I just need to outrun you. I don't need to outrun them. And it's like if I survive this and you do that, I will kill you myself. Like giving that look, like, you do this, I will kill you myself.
One move towards that door and I will hamstring you.
And with that moment sitting there for the coterie, with Gigi all but stretching the money out as if it is an alms for the poor and a sword and a shield, with John holding the chalice, offering it to the coterie, with Marcus having become that song, "Give Me 2 Steps, Mister," and with Leonetti torn, because the truth of the matter is, you all have fought, you all have lost, and you all continue losing. But the opportunity for peace, the opportunity for finding that solace is genuine. Escaping the pain of your lives before now. It's genuine. And as someone who deals with liars, thieves, brigands, assassins of all stripes, physical and social, Leonetti does not detect any lies in anything they've said.
No, but I can
And with that moment sitting there for the coterie, with the choices to be made, with Nikki having discovered several things that they may not be aware of, it is 55 after the hour. Let's be back here at 5 after the hour. Let's take a quick check.
Hi, baby.
And speaking of face, is everyone back?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Gigi hasn't said much, but
Okay. Well, welcome. So when we last left our coterie, there was a decision to be made. There's always a decision to be made. It's not one of the situations, it's not ever one of the situations where not deciding changes the outcome any more definitively than choosing wrong. Choosing and taking a stand based on that choice sets into play the best possible opportunities, because after all, chaos is a ladder. But a clear, defined decision, and us or them, this or that, holds the keys to all of the many roads that our coterie has, will, and could tread. At every turn, at every instance, the lack of a choice has cost them the safety of their havens, their fallen comrades, the heartache that comes from that, as well as closed doors of opportunities. And yet again, just like opportunity, always knocking softly, just there to be grasped, is a choice. And speaking of that choice, speaking of that moment of decision, speaking of choosing which straw, which flip of the coin, which face they hold on to. Nikki, with the information sitting there in your immediate knowledge that Nerissa is plumbing the unknown depths of the darkness without ever venturing out into it, was the message sent to stay away from the corn, with the understanding that this place, like everywhere else in Middle America, in the Midwest, every small town has a wealth of wives' tales, gossip, rumors, spooks. And knowing that not one, but two Malkavians have drawn the coterie here. What is it that Nikki is deciding to do?
Well, as much as she would like to go tell them what she knows, she doesn't know where they are. For now, she's gonna stay where she's gonna stay put and hope that the coterie come back to her. She, like I said, she doesn't know she don't know where they are.
There's no disguising that small thread of worry that sits there, because they are now out there in the unknowable dark, a place where a kindred who plumbs those darks is afraid to tread. And you all were brought here by the visions of mad men. You were brought here by the visions and feelings of someone who is in touch with that unknowable darkness on a consistent and constant basis. Unlike the very knowing evil of your own beast and the evil of good men, that is an unknown factor. The world out there swirling, the powers at play. And standing on the first floor of the hotel, listening to the ice machines cycle down for their cleaning cycle, listening to the dull buzz of the electric lights above your head, and feeling incalculably small and alone. The sound of footfalls heading in your direction brings your attention to this moment. You, all of the history that Nikki brings to bear, all of the wrongs and evils that she has managed to survive, to escape, and all of the subtle, insidious evils that she's visited upon the world. The sound of footfalls heading in her direction sounds very much like the call of judgment. And as they grow closer and louder, until she can tell that just around the corner from where she is, the footfalls slow. They don't stop, but their oncoming slows to a crawl. And as she looks towards the end of the hall, standing there is a rail thin, blonde, tattooed, modern version of the most common image of Jesus she has ever seen. Long, flowing blonde locks, various tattoos around the arms and biceps, down the forearms, the tank top hanging loosely enough from the strangely sinewy build torso, revealing a tattoo of a sun over the left breast, and you can tell what looks like a cross running down the center of his chest. His beard well coiffed, his eyes bright blue, and he stands there staring at you in all of that gloriously pale flesh. The light behind him giving his blonde hair the hint of a halo. You're not Nerissa.
No, I'm not. Who are you?
That is a question that we ask ourselves on a consistent, constant basis. I am, in this moment, just another child amongst the stars of the universe, seeking his place in all of this glorious night sky. My friends call me Star Child. What do your friends call you?
Sorry, you just caught me off guard a little bit.
No, it's to be understood. We all find what we need to when we need to if we trust in the universe. You wouldn't happen to know where Nerissa is, would you?
Last I saw her, she was in her office. I'm not sure if she's still there, though.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Well, maybe I need to meet you instead of Nerissa.
That's so.
I never did catch your name.
Well, I said it was Nikki.
Nikki. Is that short for Nicole?
Oh, yes.
Well, Nikki, short for Nicole. Would you happen to have a moment to talk? There's got to be some reason why the universe put us here in this moment together. There's got to be some reason why two kindred souls find themselves alone in this great big world.
There's always reason for everything.
I like to think that as well, even if we can't figure out what those reasons are. And with that, he takes a step forward. There are certain micro expressions. There are certain small telltale physical signs as to the inner workings of another's mind, their aims, and their potential eventual goals. His arms outstretched, the light behind him giving this moment a far more stereotypical, holy feeling, is a little unnerving. It's as if the forces outside of the world are playing chess with Chinese checkers that are the lives of our coterie members, that are the lives of these kindred. And here stands potentially one of their more high value pieces. And his intentions, unlike 99.99% of the kindred population, is not to drain you dry. It's an odd feeling. It's a feeling that usually only comes from spending time around coterie members, and even then, there's still never a 0% chance that they don't have those thoughts. They may not act on them. You may be more valuable to them in your existence, but the chances are never 0. They're just considerably less than other kindred. They're considerably less than the world at large, because the world seeks to take everything it can from you, including you. Yet in this moment, alone in this hall, in this hotel, in the middle of flyover country, so far removed from every semblance of actual existence as to be on a different planet, you two are alone together, and there is no immediate sense of predation echoing from any aspect of his being.
Who are you?
I told you, I'm Starchild.
Forgive the question. Is it not who are you? It's more like what are you?
Well, in this moment, I'm curious. We don't normally get visitors as beautiful as you. We normally don't get visitors as pale as you. We normally don't have kindred who don't start off by making themselves at home and draining much of the local population. So, I'm curious. I am curious to a fault, and if I were a cat, I would most assuredly have lost at least a couple of my 9 lives. Because it's not every day. And he takes another step closer to show that he has no ill intent. Finally, his arms fall to his sides casually instead of outstretched as if he is on some cross. Nikki.
Yes.
My curiosity always gets the best of me, but it rarely has its way with me. And I can't help but wonder, with such recent actions, with such recent happenings, why are you actually here? Why are any of you actually here?
This handsome. All right. We're looking for somebody. That's it.
Well, maybe I can help you without you having to choose between Narissa or Robert. 2 sides of the same coin. I might be able to help you get out of their little game. I might be able to help you find what you're looking for. But that is entirely up to you. I don't trust Easy, and with that, he reaches into the back of his waist and produces a gun. I came armed because I was going to shoot Narissa and put an end to all of this battling that's happening here in my town, amongst my people. But I know that probably won't be very effective at this hour of the evening, but who knows? And he hands the gun to you. He holds it by its barrel, handing you the handle.
And what makes you? She drops it, and what makes you think that we are responsible for the ills of your town?
He looks at the guns clattering to the floor. Your carelessness with a almost museum piece? And he crouches and picks it up, makes sure that it's not dented or bent, and puts it back in the waist of his pants. Not you specifically, but Narissa and Robert and what you all bring with you. It's the lack of peace. But if you're not with Narissa and you're not with Robert, otherwise he would have kept you there with him. there may be a way for you to find what you're looking for and get on with your, well, that is up to you. I will leave you just letting Narissa know how close she came to potentially being permanently at rest and not having to hold up here in her little castle. And he turns around and begins walking back the way he came.
Well, I guess she's gonna go back to Narissa.
And then she turns and heads back the way she came. A choice is always on the table. The denial of that choice leaves your fate to be decided by others. And the chalice sits there between you as if it is the football on the scrimmage line between the coterie and the congregation. John acting as center, Leonetti, the voice of doubt. Marcus has already made up his mind, despite all the facts and proof that he may be wrong. And Gigi is focused on the money, or more specifically, the envelope, and what that potentially has to offer for her and the coterie. And the outstretched chalice is there. What is it that the coterie may do?
Leonetti makes a decision, finally decides this is not what I wanted. Especially, I want to be myself in any manners that I can. Thank you, but I'll live with my own peace. Find it.
I can't say, brother, that is not perhaps the worst thing that I've ever heard. But I will respect your right to choose, even if you have chosen incorrectly. And as far as the donation, man, if you will step right this way. And he leans back over one of the congregants, pointing toward the hall that leads what seems to be to a restroom or to some stairs, or it's just out of the way. Down that hall there is the office. You may place that in the donation box there outside the office. And if we have not conducted our matters here, we will be alone very, very shortly.
Gigi is going to look back at the others, and so far she hasn't had too much to worry about, but she's a little concerned about John and the starry-eyed look. So she nods and, John, sweetheart, why don't you go get in the car and wait? We'll be out in just a little bit, okay?
Okay.
At this point, the premier of the group
I'll go with him. With John.
is going to, having cut some of his the cut. Very stupid. But I was first.
So kind of like after He gives John that whole head to the car, and seeing that he's going to sort of head that way, she nods and then heads back towards the office, or she's assuming is an office.
So as she's pausing, so as Gigi is pausing, waiting for John to begin moving, John, would you be so kind as to roll your resolve plus composure? And what your results are. You do need a DC 3 to leave the congregation, to take steps to make that initial effort to begin moving. Leonetti has already decided he's going to move with you towards the car. So both Gigi and Leonetti are pausing as Marcus is moving forward towards the chalice. In the doing, there is a rising and with a match to a powder keg, Marcus touches the chalice with blood on his hand. There is a sizzle that happens because his vitae is able to eat through anything non-living. And as it begins to eat through the chalice on contact, because the chalice is old and cherished and thin, though well made, the blood therein hits the air. Anyone at Hunger 3 needs to roll a Resolve Composure DC 3. Because the scent of the blood is literally that strong, that rich, and that vibrant. Because there in the blood is, in fact, actual life. The very real thing that the beast craves. The very real weight of souls is there in the blood, having been freely given from its main source.
I add my hunger to the roll, correct?
Yes.
Resolve in what?
Composure.
Oh, resolve in double check. It's horrible. Brilliant. See.
GG, we're just waiting on your roll.
I thought I was at it too.
I'm glad that I...
You rolled a 2? I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
John doesn't have to roll because he has hunger.
No, I'm at a hunger too.
Ah, okay.
I'm glad that I had a willpower to re-roll that, because that would have not been good otherwise.
Oh no, it's not good as it is.
Oh, no.
Because you all
fun.
are in other games, in other systems. There's a real reliance on the tactical distance of things. We luckily don't have to deal with the tactical distance on things because there's an approximation of where you are and where you all are in the doorway and where they are as a congregation the moment that Marcus lunges forward and begins desecrating one of their sacred objects and defiling their sacred space, the inside of their church, with all of that sacramental offering. There's a switch thrown. It's well known that one of the leading causes of most of the massacres in all of the world have always been fostered by religious belief, religious fanaticism. And if you were to describe these congregants as fanatics, you'd be underselling the weight of what they are. The moment the sizzle happens, the moment that the chalice is seemingly immediately ruined by the vitae from Marcus's hands, that switch from welcoming to flagellation and worse was thrown. The blood hitting the floor ensured that the turbo, the nitrous oxide of that fanaticism was engaged. Your close proximity to them ensures that, well, and they lunge. They surge forward like the sea. The many congregants who are in absolute furious anger began swarming and swirling. Fists are being thrown and clothes are being pulled. There's a screeching wail of the higher registered members of the congregation who are incensed. And those of you with a wit of 3 or higher signify or any heightened sensibility, it's almost as if you can hear a animalistic shriek pouring up out of the blood with each drop that hits the floor, as if something ancient is dying. So as they swarm and they dogpile and they pull and they claw and they work towards bringing you into the church at their mercy, what is it that you all are attempting to do?
I'm pulling a gun and shooting them to dislodge. Try to dislodge some of them off and get away. And while I'm doing that, I'm also screaming at Marcus, "I will fucking kill you, you dumb fucker."
All right.
If you want a death wish, do it on your own.
So, Leonetti.
Sorry, go ahead.
Leonetti, you will be rolling your strength plus athletics. To get the gun out. It will also count as your defensive action to try to remove yourself from the situation. And while you're rolling that, Marcus, Gigi, John, what is it that you all are doing?
Marcus, player 3.
Seeing as I cannot fight my life, I'm going to continue Dia's demand and wait at the car.
So you're going to run towards the car. So, John...
Slowly. I'm going to slowly just back up and slowly back up towards the car.
Okay. So that being the case, being you're going to be doing this slowly, it is not a strength and athletics defensive maneuver. It is a dexterity and athletics defensive maneuver. You are, unfortunately, due to lack of speed, a -1. Now, Marcus, you broke up and were a little robotic. What was it that you were trying to do?
After 3, there was nothing undeliberate about my action. I did this knowing probably an Eddie. So I'm running the fuck away from my free action.
All right, go ahead. Roll your dexterity and athletics.
I am unacting the whole.
And Gigi.
Gigi is going to use the shadow of the group of bodies to step into Cloak of Shadow and go like near invisible.
You're attempting to hide and stealth away. Cloak of Shadows doesn't actually cloak you in shadows. It makes you a little harder to detect. From this distance, it really won't help that much until you get further away. So that being the case, would you be so kind as to go roll your dexterity and athletics? You do get a +1.
I thought it was a +2 to stealth.
You're directly in front of them, stopping them to sneak away. It's the reason why you get a +1. But
Oh, okay.
and they received a several things happen at once, as they typically do in the moments of chaos. The swirling, miasmic, cacophonous noise of the congregation, the sheer, unbridled, blind rage, the all-in want to defile the defiler results in torn clothes, scrapes, abrasions, and as Leonetti is wrestling free, or feels as if he's almost wrestling free, his gun coming out just in time to be knocked aside and him pulled forward, catching Gigi, stumbling them forward into the crowd of swirling, grabbing, piercing, biting, rending hands, limbs, and arms of the congregants as the father, the priest of this little quaint church of believers, is attempting to wrestle some semblance of control. Gently! Gently! And you hear him yelling over the screeching and the yelling, how dare they! Marcus is nowhere to be seen. Lasky is at the edge of this dog pile of limbs in human anger and righteous fury, raining blow after blow, tearing and rending clothes, pulling everyone closer. He, with his back to the congregation, trying to get out from the dog pile to escape the grasp, is right on the edge of them and sees Marcus blink out of existence. He is literally there 1 second, gone the next, and is suddenly 50 feet farther from where you last saw him. Leonetti sees arms and limbs and faces and turned into these gruesome, grotesque facsimile of human faces as their rage and fury takes full hold of them. Eyes bulged, veins standing on end. You've been in tight situations before. You fought professionals. You ended lives. Being this close to this hot, sweaty breath of the average man and woman is claustrophobically frightening. This much humanity sweating, breathing, and tearing at you is like being swarmed by ants, angry killer ants that are able to rend flesh and inject their poison with each bite. While you can swat them away and are doing an admirable job of keeping them from purposefully ending you because you are already a dead thing, there are too many of them. There are too many hands. There are too many teeth because they have descended to that level animalistic fury. They are actually biting at the nearest portions of you they can get. And Gigi, your view is much the same. Just a dog pile of human limbs and almost human-looking faces as the rage and fury that possesses them makes them appear as something inhuman. All of these faces that look nothing like yours, all of this hate that you're not sure is directed at you simply because of what Marcus did. The difference between you and them triggers an instinctual fear. You know what it's like to be swallowed alive by 100,000 different rats. And you are in that moment once more. These small, craven things that you could crush with the heel of your shoe suddenly being dangerous enough where your life, your existence, your immortality may be at risk. It's not an easy thing. As a magister, the dark holds no secrets from you. But this is the absence of the dark. This is that bright, hot, all-consuming enmity. This level of fanaticism defies reason and logic, and you are smack dab in the middle of it. And John, waking up this evening, resurrecting for the day, you did not see your day ending like this. Why can't your visions be more reliable? There's nothing in your tea leaves and the coffee grounds. There's nothing in the stars above that said this was the way things were supposed to end. This was supposed to be safety, security, sanctuary, and yet, did someone just fucking bite you? Yeah, somebody else just fucking bit you. What the absolute fuck? I'm thinking that in that moment you connect with that great unknown beyond. You can see what Arthur saw. The night sky swinging back and forth in front of your locked in place eyes, something tight around your neck, your hands bound behind your back, the utterance of here, accept our offer to your love, here, accept our offer to your immortality, here, accept our forever. And then nothing.
That's spooky.
Standing by the Camaro, watching your coterie be swallowed into the church, hearing the upturned voices, the screeching human lung emptying cries of pain. If Marcus was able to breathe, he'd be panting. If Marcus was able to feel, he'd feel the fear of having just escaped his death. Marcus doesn't have those issues. Marcus has the knowledge of knowing that those congregants, like all mad fanatical things, very well in their blind rage may tear your coterie limb from limb like the maenads of old. The worshippers of Bacchus, gone so far into their revelry that those who snuck in, instead of enjoying the pleasures of the flesh, became the source of all that pent-up, frustrated rage. The absolute balance to all that fanaticism, given full vent. And then there's the whisper amongst the corn. Standing by his Camaro, he can hear far clearer now, and it's almost as if it's laughing, as if it's enjoying the pained cries of fanatics, as if it can feel the frenzy that has taken over. And on that note, thank you all for a lovely episode. I will see you all next session. Good night, everybody.
I love you. Thanks for a great